Hello, everybody. It's C to the O to the U to the N to the D to the Y, Contreras County, and this is Christian Perspective on Politics and who is really the right answer on who to vote for. We know that the politics season is coming around. 2024 elections, November, birthday month. Kind of sucks to have the most toxic month of the year as your birthday, but it's all good. And today we are going to see what I think about this whole shebang. And let's get started with this video. Just a disclaimer, like it says in Hebrews 13:17, obey your leaders and submit to them, for they watch over your souls as those who must give an account. To this end, allow them to lead with joy and not with grief, for that would be of no advantage to you. I don't want to be disrespectful in this video, and I'm open to any discussion or any views. Just want to let you guys know. As someone who's more like middle grounded, to be quite honest, not really leaning more with one side or the other, I see both aspects and I see both viewpoints, and I understand, hey, both of these sides actually made good points, and there's some things that I can agree with on both sides. However, there tends to always be a problem with politics. Leviticus 19:4, do not turn to idols or make mental gods for yourselves. I am the Lord your God. So essentially the big issue is, instead of respecting the individuals that are running for office or any government, we tend to make them idols. We tend to glaze them, as the kids say these days, and we tend to make them seem bigger than they are. However, if you look at it from an unbiased perspective, you see that there's not really a side that has no flaws. They both have their flaws, and we're about to see them right now. For Democrats, it is abortion and gay marriage. And I know what you're going to say. Oh, here we go. It's a man that doesn't experience it, and it's a guy that's hating gay people or people in the LGBTQ community. For one, sex before marriage, if you are a Christian, you should know. You should just not be having that. And if you're of this world, it's called having self-control, because believe it or not, there are sicknesses and STDs and AIDS you can receive from having too much sex with wrong and certain individuals. And again, you can make the case for rape, which yes, it does occur. But of every abortion, the statistic is shown, and you can look this up, it is only 1% reason why abortions happen. And for the LGBTQ perspective on this, you could say, oh, this guy hates the community. Nope. I've been very cordial with people that I've worked with that are gay, lesbian, trans, as well as with my roommate that is very pro for that and very accepting of that. And I explained him this perspective. I don't hate the individuals that some Christians do, like they will hate gay people. I hate the sin, which the Lord tells us to always hate sin. And I won't judge someone, or I won't be critical of someone, or I won't show them hateful actions because they have a different viewpoint. I'll show disappointed or frustrated actions when you try to force me into believing that a sin is okay. Does it bother me a bit that they get more rights than some minorities, such as Mexicans? Yes, a little bit. But do I hate these individuals? Absolutely not. And I'm just going to show you some verses that back up my point. Our first example in Leviticus 20:13, if a man lies with a male as with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood is upon them. This is classified to the Lord as a sin, because this is unholy. This isn't me saying this. This is what the Bible says. Jude 1:7, just as Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding cities, which likewise indulged in sexual immorality and pursued unnatural desire, that being man with man, woman with woman, serve as an example by undergoing a punishment of eternal fire. The Lord does not see this as holy. This isn't me saying this. This is the Lord. And in Romans 9:10-11, but when Rebekah also had conceived at once of Isaac our father, for when the children were not born yet, nor had done any good or evil, that meaning that the responsibility of who made the mistake is on the woman, because the baby had nothing to do with it. that the purpose of God according to election might stand. So essentially, you aborting is going against God's will. And the baby has no reason to get murdered. However, though, the Republican Party and people who follow it are just as bad by not following the Bible with, 1, the death penalty, and 2, the mistreatment of others, that being the poor and the racism that occurs all over the place. And obviously, I'm not going to generalize, and I'm not going to say all Republicans are racist, because that's just not true. And I would never be an idiot and just generalize an entire community. That's not true at all. Some of my best friends are Republican, and they have treated me with so much love, so much kindness, and so much respect. But if I were to put a small subsection, the extremists on the Republican side have treated me with nothing but disrespect, rude, hurtful, been super mean for no reason, just because I live in a house with a single mother that has a very low income, and I'm also Mexican. And this is shown in the Bible that we don't, as people, have the authority to put people to death. And also, we're no higher than anyone else just because of our worldly status. The Lord sees us as the same, and mistreatment just isn't okay. In Exodus 21:14, but if anyone schemes and kills someone deliberately, that person is to be taken from my altar and put to death. So we see in the Old Testament that with certain rules and certain qualifications and certain things set in the Old Testament to kill, we see killing was very prevalent. However, in the New Testament, after Jesus died for us, the Lord showed us more grace and mercy, and that being displayed in Jesus dying on the cross for us. Because if grace wasn't a thing, then Jesus would have never died for us. It is shown here in Romans 12:19, do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, it is mine to avenge, I will repay, says the Lord. If we are essentially killing because we feel it is our right to kill someone who has done wrong, that is simply false, because we are not above death and we are not above sin. The Lord is. And if we decide to kill, we are essentially going against God's will, which, the same as abortion, is a sin. And the Lord doesn't want us to go against his will. In John 8:7, when they keep on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her. This is shown because we all have sin. We all make mistakes. We all mess up. If we were still living in the Old Testament with all those rules and all those requirements, a good 95 to 97% of us would be dead. But because of the Lord's grace and mercy, sending his son to die for us, we don't have to do that. And lastly, the second is this: love your neighbor as yourself. No other commandment is greater than these. Mark 12:31. Yet we see a lot of Christians that are Republican, that claim to be Christian just to have the title, be rude, disrespectful, mean, insufferable, judgmental to other people that are minorities or in the poor section, and treat people horribly, which again is a sin. And I forgot this verse, but Proverbs 22:8. Whoever sows injustice will reap calamity, and the rod of his fury will fail. So essentially, the Lord is telling us to not have injustices against people that are different from us, because in the Lord's eyes, we are all exactly the same. We all matter. We all do. Well, there's not really a winning side or a holy side to this. And to be fair, looking at this last verse to kind of close it off, there is no winning. You are choosing man over what the Lord has to say, regardless of how you spin it. You're either choosing one side that is against God's will, or you're choosing the other side that's also against God's will. But not only does the government go against God's will and makes us go against God's will, it also leads us to a lot of separation. There's been so much separation, so much division, so much hate, so much malice, so much disrespect between people from both sides. And it's honestly saddening that we can't come as a country and bond and be together and truly have respect for one another. But I guess it's never going to happen, especially now, but we can always be praying. And I'm just going to hit it home with this last verse. Proverbs 6:16-19, there are 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are an abomination to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that desires wicked plans, feet that make haste to run to evil, a false witness who breathes out lies, and one who sows discord among brothers. And politics essentially does all of these. It has haughty eyes, which it leans to power, and it lusts power, a lying tongue, because we never know what's actually going on. We just hear different perspectives from different sides of the coin. A hand that sheds innocent blood. Man, there's been a lot of police that have killed minorities or people sent out to war and died. A heart that devises wicked plans, which the government tends to do. Feet that make haste to run to evil, which the government does. A false witness who breathes out lies, us manipulating or the government manipulating us. And one who sows discord among brothers, which essentially is destroying the community that we have in the United States. And guess what? The government does all of that. So then, what should we do? I would say my final thoughts would be to pray. I know what you're thinking, not to pray for me to get a normal size t-shirt because this is oversized and it makes me look fat, but to pray for the people who are in office, to pray for whatever the Lord's will is that he may put in their hearts to do right decisions, to pray for people that we might not love or not might respect, and to change our hearts and to open our minds up to loving those people. And lastly, just to pray for community and to pray for respect, because at the end of the day, we still have to respect these individuals because the Lord respects us and we're so much more beneath the Lord. It's not even funny. And yeah, that's my final thoughts. Just be praying about this election because it could swing either way. And I'm not saying either candidate is perfect because neither of them are. I'm just not going to vote. I'm not going to tell you not to vote, but that's what I'm going to do. And just be praying for these individuals and just be praying that whatever the Lord has planned, that we may follow those plans. And that's going to be it for this different type of video, but I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.